Yeah, definitely. And so kind of talking about timeline, like timeline, how do, safety practices influence those project timelines, maybe the impact of the tenants and kind of that total project cost too?
Yeah, it's interesting because that's something we try to always bring up really early on in the RFP process. Because the right safety procedures a lot of times can drastically change the cost of the estimate as well. Good examples when you're doing retail. A lot of the times they don't want you doing tear off in certain areas while the store is open, or you might not be able to do roof deliveries on certain days when they're busier. They only want you to work weekdays versus office buildings typically want you to work more weekends, and those are different
Sure.
labor rates. So it is important to bring safety up really early. It affects costs, it affects timeline, it affects different, logistical aspects of the building. And then I think the next important part is making sure that when you actually get awarded the job, not only having a meeting to talk about the timeline of the project, but the safety of the project. What are the client's priorities, and reestablishing that before you start the project.
Yeah, definitely. And, maybe part of that conversation is talking about like the certifications or trainings that the crews have. So can you touch on, what are some things that those building owners could expect from crews or the on-site, kind of foreman or leadership?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And I think, and this can be true for any of these questions, a lot of the times the building owners don't know what they don't know, right?
Right.
They're not roofers, they're not in construction, but they know it once they see it.
Yeah.
So, like for us in particular, we like to have all of our field guys OSHA 30. Most of our office staff is also OSHA 30, and the few who aren't are OSHA 10 certified. And on top of that, we try to do a lot of OSHA refresher classes to ensure that we're staying on top of safety practices. We ourselves do monthly safety meetings. We actually had it today, so we get our entire staff together, office, field, laborers, service guys. So everybody gets together. We talk about one safety topic. We go through our wins, personal and professional. So it's kind of a team building thing. And then we have different safety protocols when we're actually on site. So we have safety checklists, and on a production job, we'll do a safety meeting every single morning. So it's what starts off our day. So we include all of these things in our proposal packet. So we make
Okay.
sure our owners are aware. We don't wait for them to ask us. We come to them and say, hey, these are the things you should expect from a professional roofer.
Yeah, that's nice to have that ahead of time so that they don't have to forget to ask or not know the right question to your point of what to ask.
Yeah, they might forget to ask, or they might not know that that's something they should be expecting out of somebody else, right? And so if you're doing those types of safety standards, it helps you stand apart from other competitors. Although hopefully the goal would be everybody's doing that.
Right.
So.
Yes. Yeah. So a tip for anybody else listening, maybe include that in your next
Yeah.
project.
OSHA. I mean, if any of you are
Yeah.
involved with your local roofing associations, almost every local roofing association gets resources to get OSHA certified.
Yeah. And can you explain, just touch on the difference between OSHA 10 and OSHA 30 that you were just talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, I think most people know OSHA is kind of our baseline standard of who determines safety for better or for worse in our industry. And they have two different certifications. 10 refers to 10 hour, 30 refers to 30 hour. So it is quite literally the number of hours of the training.
Makes sense.
So you do a training, you have to do it with an OSHA certified teacher. So you can't just I can't just go and be like, oh, I taught my guys 10 hours of OSHA trainings.
Yeah.
Um, it's a certified trainer who then does a test at the end. The OSHA 30 just dives a lot deeper. So you kind of get like a little bit of everything in the OSHA 10, and you get a lot more in the OSHA 30. And I think what I would say to people is a lot of people will say, oh, we don't need the OSHA 30 because it talks about a lot of things we don't talk about. And they're right. I mean, it'll talk about like how should an electrician be safe climbing up on a power pole and things like that. But at the end of the day, all of our guys are kind of all working in the same realm, right? They're all working in construction. They're all working around other people. And I just don't think it can hurt to ever have too much safety training.
Yeah, definitely. And you brought up a good point too of, this training is continual. It's not just a one and done. You're constantly learning new things and getting recertified and all of that. So I think that's an important thing for building owners to know, that it's continuing education in terms of safety.
Yeah, and there's some too. So our guys are all CPR certified. They all have different trainings in terms of more medical side of things. And those are actually trainings that you have to renew every 2 years. So every 2 years, we have to send all of our guys to a class. They watch a thing, and then they go and do a practical test. And so that actually renews every 2 years. The OSHA 30 is technically for life once you get it, but I very highly recommend doing the refresher classes.
If your roof needs answers, subscribe now to the Ask a Roofer podcast. We've got your questions covered, one episode at a time. Go to AskARoofer.com to submit your questions and learn more. Stay tuned and keep those questions coming.